Hello, this is Adam Watson, and I am doing a video for teachers about how best maybe to organize their folders to be able to share it with the students or any large group of people. And before we do that, let's actually create some folders in order to play with. So we're going to go into our drive, we're going to click on New. We're going to go with a new folder. We're going to call it Sample Folder 1. See, it's highlighted in blue here. For fun, we're going to change the color just to help it pop out. And this is probably a good time to point out the fact that you may create a color for your folder on your side of the fence, even as the creator of the folder. However, if and when that folder is shared out, it will not come across that way. So the color coding of folders is something that's just internal on your side for your sake to help if it does, as far as color coding the folders, but helps you organize. I want to make it green. See, it's turned green here. Okay, so we're going to click inside of it. I'm going to create another subfolder. Subfolder sample A. And with that, I can go back to the drive, and we're about to share it. Here is the first point that we want to make, is as far as a tip. Remember that whatever you do as far as sharing a folder is going to share everything inside of it. If there's subfolders, the subfolders and the sub-subfolders and so on. So you have to think very carefully when you decide to share resources, even just a view, much less if you're having editable rights in that folder. So my suggestion is that for the sake of organization, that you treat a hierarchy in a way that makes it easy to drill down and share just specifically what you want to be able to share with a certain group of people. For example, you might have the first level of the folder be 2015 and 2016, so it's just this school year. And then underneath that, you may have a folder for each class, perhaps, if you have in middle and high school various periods, for example. And then inside of that, you may have a sub-subfolder of a particular activity or class or unit or whatever ways, again, that I could drill down. Remember that if, for instance, I share period 1's folder with all of the students in period 1, anything and everything that's created inside that folder will be shareable. So just remember that when you're doing your sharing. For the sake of this particular example, I'm going to say that I'm just going to share this subfolder here. And what I have to do is, first off, right-click it. And from here, I can choose Share. When I do that for the very first time, this box pops up, and it's a box I'm sure you're familiar with. So we have two paths here. Actually, a third path we could do both. First path is that we could get a shareable link and create a hyperlink that will generate, and we could put an email, we could put in a blog, we could do in various ways as far as anything that could tweet, anything that could post that particular link. The other way is we can share with specific people. And here is the branching point and the point to make clear as far as which choice you make. Let's say you decide to make it as a hyperlink, and anyone that can click on that hyperlink can get to your particular Google Drive. For expediency, it's hard to argue that that's pretty good. It's, hey, students, come to this one place, and if you can get to that one place online, you're one click away from getting access to the drive to view it or even possibly edit within it. However, here's the drawback that you need to recognize. From the sake of the student's point of view, clicking on a hyperlink from an email or a website or whatever, yes, we'll give them access to it, but really the only way that they're going to easily get to it, if then, is going by the most recent files and folders that they've opened and used, which on their Google Drive would be right here. So when it comes to lots of folders, lots of files, and especially if you decide to do it piecemeal, maybe by unit or even less than that, this lesson versus that lesson, that's going to share a lot of hyperlink kind of files and folders and going to cause a lot of issues as far as a student keeping that organized. So advantages for a hyperlink is going to be that it's very quick. The disadvantage is that for organization's sake, not so much. They're going to have to realize, and you're going to have to instruct them to go to their recent folder, for example, find that folder, find that file, and perhaps drag and drop it over to my drive in order for them to have it in a way that's better organized or more in their face, if you will. On the other hand, if you share a particular folder and you share it by their name, then it'll pop up in the shared with me. And once again, by being in shared with me, Okay, it might be easier for them to find, for example, certain files, certain folders, drag it over to my drive and share it. But again, think about numbers here. First off, if you're sharing it by specific names, then when you do that, you're going to have to type 25 names or 25 email addresses to make sure that it's shared and hopefully be accurate in typing in all those email addresses. Here's where something like a spreadsheet where you have all their email addresses collected and then you may do a copy and paste might be helpful as far as when you're sharing and sharing it in this box right here. Again, do you want them to edit or just view? You have to make those decisions. However, if you have one folder that you're planning them to always be able to go to, and eventually and over time you add new folders as far as units and so on, then sharing it once and only once at the beginning of the year, it's maybe a lot of typing or a copy and paste job, but once you have it done, that folder is in their hands. And with that, that means that, again, if it's shared this way by sharing the specific names, then they go to here was shared with me, and they'll be able to drag and drop it once to their drive, and then it's there, and everything is there. They never have to figure out, gosh, there's 15 or 20 different Google Drive folders that my social studies teacher has shared with me. It's really an all-in-one place kind of place, like a one-stop shop. So keep that in mind as far as in the organization. It really depends on which one you go with. Depends on what you have, how much time it takes at first in order to share. Obviously, the hyperlink is quick and done and fast and easy, and yet the disadvantage is that it may be hard for students to come back and find those easily, whereas the putting in the names at least once at the very beginning, if you have one big folder, for example, that might be the easiest bet. And last but not least, keep in mind, this is all talking about Google Drive. With learning management systems like Schoology, for example, if they're all logged in your class, that might be a whole other level of organization to help you keep certain things, certain documents, even if they are Google folders that you embed into the course through hyperlinks or whatever. So it's just a matter of choices. Last but not least, keep in mind that if, for example, you get a shareable link, you decide the level of permission, anyone can view, anyone can edit, etc., then you can always change that into something else. You can always turn that off so that the hyperlink basically goes dead and people won't be able to click on it anymore to be able to get to the drive. Same thing with the people. If you list people, you can always change them from view to edit to completely delete them, and you can do that as often as you need as far as changing those permissions. So none of them are fixed. As a teacher, you can always make those choices. I think I've covered pretty well some options and just talking about maybe some strategies to think about when you're thinking about sharing things with your class or a large group of people. And hopefully this was helpful for you. Thanks a lot.